Hi, this is Russ Carley, who together with Dr. Mark Hogue put this presentation together entitled Authentic Lesson Development with the Frick Environmental Center Sustainability Dashboard. Dr. Mark Hogue is a professor within the Department of Secondary Education, Foundations of Education Department at Slippery Rock University, and I am a Slippery Rock University doctoral student specializing in educational leadership. Because of the pandemic, it has been extremely difficult for teachers to engage their students in any type of field trip. So Dr. Hogue and myself decided to take a look at the Frick Environmental Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the applicability of their real-time data to use in the classroom. Before we take a look at the activity, a bit about the Frick Environmental Center itself and what really makes it so interesting. The Frick Environmental Center in Pittsburgh is the world's first free and open access living building in the world. And teaching in an urban school district of very high poverty, my students would not have a chance to see any type of these buildings, let alone in traveling to them unless it was a school-sponsored activity. So what is a green building? Well, defined by the CRGBC, a living building is a structure, and that generates all of its own energy with renewable, non-toxic resources, captures and treats all of its water, and operates efficiently and for maximum beauty. Again, something interesting that my students would not have accessibility to. And what's really neat about the Frick Environmental Center is all of their data is free and easily accessible by the public because of a partnership with West.net and the FEC. They have created a sustainability dashboard. So why did we decide to do this? Well, it all comes down for easy, accessible, authentic learning experiences for the student. The Derek Bach Center for Teaching and Learning at Harvard University maintain that students are more engaged and interested in a subject if it is clear how the information they are learning is relevant to the world around them. So many times as educators in a classroom do we hear from students, where am I ever going to use this again? Showing this connection from inside the classroom to outside the real world, educators can encourage and ignite impactful student learning. And at the end of this, one part of my activity included student responses on what they thought of the entire activity. And that, I think, if nothing else, is the best part of this entire activity. Again, as stated earlier, it's very difficult during this pandemic time to find some real good, authentic learning experiences for the student outside of the classroom. And the Frick Environmental Center's dashboard makes it easily and accessible for the data and the technology at high schools. This data sustainability dashboard provides will allow teachers the ability to create lessons for a variety of high school classes in the STEM field, science and math and engineering. And all of these lessons are easily aligned to the NGSS or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania standards. And also, they are meaningful and relevant to the students. These lessons that can be developed include data analysis, PBL, and really the possibilities are endless based on the data that this sustainability dashboard provides. And it was the hope for my students that through these activities, through the open-ended prompts, and through working together in groups, that students really began self-discovery and hopefully got the wheels turning about preparing for higher education and their future careers. And again, I cannot say enough how well pleased I am with the results of this activity. In particular, as you'll see towards the end, the student comments. So here you see the front page of the Frick Environmental Center. On the left-hand side, you see an event calendar of all the wonderful opportunities available, and also an opportunity for you to volunteer at the Frick Environmental Center. On the right-hand side, you see the sustainability dashboard and all the individual pieces of it, which we'll explore later on. And down at the bottom, something that the students found very, very neat is the amount of energy that was harnessed from the sun and what it equates into. They were particularly surprised by the amount of smartphones that could be charged. Keep in mind that the bottom right-hand panel updates in real time. Before we go into greater detail about each of the pieces of the sustainability dashboard, a quick look at the three major pieces which were used in the lesson activity. The first one is the live renewable energy data. Again, all of these are updating in real time, where you can compare the total energy produced compared to the total energy used in real-time charts down in both the left-hand corner and the right-hand corner. The live daily energy usage panel, showing all the major consumers of the energy, the amount that they use, both on a daily and a monthly basis. And finally, the live water collection data panel, which shows where the water is collected, where it's saved, and how it's used. Again, all of this information is updated in real time. Here you can see a quick breakdown of the class demographics which participated in this activity. Note of the 19 students, 5 of those were special needs students. 26% of the class were special needs students, and this was written on a level in which both the inclusion students and the regular education students could complete without difficulty. One of the major pitfalls of trying to do any type of big activity like this, a field trip or big group activities, is classroom attendance. And unfortunately, over the 7-day period of this activity, I did run into an attendance problem. As you can see, the average attendance was about 39% on any given day. Hence the reason why I needed to extend it for 7 days. And here you can see in graphical format the attendance. Again, it was difficult to complete this in a short period of time. I extended it for 7 days, but I'm very pleased with the results. Again, particularly the students' thoughts and opinions. Here are just a few of the standards that were addressed in this activity. As mentioned before, there are many more standards that can be included with this lesson activity. But I'd just like to highlight kind of the important ones where students had to evaluate what was going on at the Frick Center. Also, where students had to read and understand and respond and work together in a group, make connections among ideas, and come up with plans or suggestions if they were working for the Frick Center. So on to the activity. I'm not going to highlight each individual question, but rather highlight the major questions. And if you're interested in receiving a copy of this, our contact information is at the end of the presentation. In the first part of the activity, students were just getting accustomed to what a living building is. So as part of the living building challenge, I had students take a look at the 7 different facets. And of those 7, I had the students pick 3. For the 3 that the students chose, they needed to click on the radio button to find out more information. And they were to cite 2 examples of how the Frick Environmental Center accomplished their goals, how it lives up to the idea of a living building. Students were randomly placed in groups, Group A, Group B, Group C. And depending on the group was depending on the part that they needed to complete. So Group A had to work on the live renewable energy data questions. Group B had to work on the live energy usage questions. And Group C had to work on the live water collection questions. Although the questions differed slightly in what they had to look for, all the parts had the same end question. The question was, what suggestions would you have for the Frick Environmental Center on energy production and the usage? Provide 2 examples with evidence from the live data. So with this question, I had students take on the role as if they worked for the Frick Environmental Center and analyzing everything that went on, how could they make the Frick Environmental Center better? And not just that, they needed to cite specific evidence. The results were excellent. Results varied anywhere from increasing the amount of solar panels, decreasing the use of the fountain, decreasing the amount of lights and heat in the building itself, adding more windows, adding more pervious concrete, and even including more water barrels to collect the rain. Part 3 took a look at the data from today, from the main page of the Frick Environmental Center in the bottom right-hand corner. This was mainly for informational purposes to let the students really realize all this energy saved, what it can go towards. So the students had to write down what surprised them the most. But most importantly, even as a student, what can they do to help planet Earth? A lot of students wrote down they could carpool, they could walk, they could ride a bike. And even they could work on developing new ways for communication. This way we wouldn't have to worry about rechargeable batteries. Here are some highlights of what students responded for Part 3, what surprised them about the energy from today, and what they could do to help protect the Earth. And finally, the last part of the activity was their overall experience. What did they like? What did they not like? But most importantly, what did they learn? Did this activity accomplish its goal? Were they made more aware of the surroundings? Were they made more aware of sustainability? Was this lesson authentic? Was it meaningful and relevant to the student? Here are their responses. Here are the sources which myself and Dr. Hogue used. And if you have any questions, or would like more information, or would like a copy of the lesson activity, please feel free to reach out to each of us. There are email addresses. Hope you enjoyed this look at the Frick Environmental Center and its applicability to a virtual field trip in this COVID world. for a real and authentic learning experience for students. Thank you.